Secretary will call the roll.
Alquist, Anderson, Berryhill, Blakesley, Calderon, Canella, Corbett, Correa, De Leon, DeSaulnier, Dutton, Emerson, Evans, Fuller, Gaines, Hancock, Harmon, Hernandez, Huff, Kehoe, Lamalfa, Leno, Ted Lieu, Carol Liu, Lowenthal, Negrete McLeod, Padilla, Papley, Price, Rubio, Runner, Semidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Vargas, Walters, Wolk, Wright, Weiland, Yee.
Members, will all members please come to the Senate for this morning's session? A quorum is present. Would the members and our guests be on the rail and in the gallery please rise? We'll be led in prayer this morning by our chaplain, Rabbi Mona Alfie, after which please remain standing. We will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag by Senator Berryhill.
Good morning. California is a state of immigrants. In every generation, people have flocked here from other countries and other states, seeking to build a new life and a better future here in the Golden State. On Monday, California will honor an adopted son, Cesar Chavez, an immigrant from Arizona, whose life work was to give voice to those who could not always speak up for themselves. Through his work and his words, he reminded us that we cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity for our community. He instructed us that our ambitions must be broad enough to include the aspirations and the needs of others for their sakes and for our own. O gracious and merciful God, we give thanks for the leaders and visionaries who inspire us to reach higher and dream bigger. We give thanks for those who, by their example, remind us of our obligations to each other and future generations to leave our communities stronger, safer, and more prosperous than we inherited them. May we continue to work to achieve progress and prosperity for ourselves and for others. May this be God's will. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members' privileges of the floor. Messages from the governor will be deemed read. Messages from the assembly will be deemed read. Reports of committee will be deemed read with amendments adopted. Members' motions, resolutions, and notices. Senator Lamalfa. Senator Lamalfa at Senator Steinberg's desk. Senator Lamalfa, you'll be presenting a resolution to the California Land Surveyors Association President today.
Morning, Madam President. I rise and ask to take up item number 10, which is SR 10, National Surveyors Week. So,
without objection, Secretary, please read.
Senate Resolution 10 by Senator Lamalfa relative to National Surveyors Week.
Thank you, members. Madam President, I'm pleased to present SR 10, National Surveyors Week here. I have a guest with me on the floor, and just a little bit about that. Everything we have, if it's a building, if it's a roadway, if it's a dam or other infrastructure, partly the reason it got there is because of our surveyors in this state, in this country. I even have a little experience myself as an amateur on my farm surveying to keep our fields nice and flat. They use less water and less pesticides. My dad spent some time after Fresno State surveying out there as well, but these are the folks that really make it happen for us on properly surveying and make sure everything adds up and is done with straight lines. So Many of America's most notable citizens, including founding fathers and farmers, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, etc., were surveyors. Of course, they have a profound impact on our families and our state. So I'm very proud to be able to present this resolution honoring National Surveyors Week, and please welcome our guests here this morning.
Senators, we will adopt this by voice vote. All those in favor, please signal by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Members, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Introductions and first reading of bills, members, they'll be deemed read. Members, consideration of the daily file. On the second reading file, Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 21 with amendments and Assembly Bill 103 with amendments.
Members, Senate, third reading. Senator Alquist, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you very much. I rise in honor of it being Greek Independence, the anniversary of Greek Independence Day. Rise to celebrate Greek Independence Day as the daughter.
Thank you very much. Secretary will read.
Senate Resolution 12 by Senator Alquist relative to Greek Independence Day.
As the daughter of a Greek immigrant, I am proud to stand here today, first of all, to be a legislator and also to recognize today as the 190th year of Greece's independence from the Ottoman Empire. SR 12 honors the Greek freedom fighters who began their fight for independence in 1821. For 8 years, the fighting ensued until 1829, when Sultan Muhammad II faced Russian troops at the gates of Constantinople, and with the Treaty of Adrianople formalized Greece's independence. I'd like also to say that for a very long period of time during when Greece was under siege from the Ottoman Empire, that churches were burned, that the Greeks had to go underground with their religion and their culture and their language. They were not allowed to practice any of these things for a very long period of time. And so it is really a big deal that they were able to fight and to overcome the enemy at that time. I'd like to thank Julie Mamoulis, retired staff who worked for Senator Byron Scher, for making the Greek cookies, which I could not do last night, which we all enjoyed this morning. They are called kouloudakia, and my mother and my yaya, my grandmother, often made them. The presence today of the Greek flag in the chambers exemplifies California's tradition of celebrating democracies throughout the world. And so on behalf of thousands of Greek American citizens, please join me in celebrating Greek Independence Day. Zito I Ilas, long live Greece. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Alquist. Members, we will adopt this resolution also by voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? The motion is adopted. The resolution is adopted. Members, under second, third reading, item number 14. Oh, pardon me, Senator Price. For what purpose do you rise, Senator Price?
Permission to present ACR 18.
That's item 36. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 18 by Assemblymember Dickinson relative to Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Week.
Thank you, Madam President. The week of March 14, 2011 was Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Week. The week that California residents were encouraged to join together in raising awareness and heightening public knowledge of this debilitating disease. Multiple sclerosis is a neurological disease in the nervous system that affects an estimated 400,000 Americans across the country, and nearly 200 new cases are diagnosed each week nationwide. The California chapters of the National Multiple Sclerosis Society report that more than 40,000 people in California are affected by this devastating disease. MS is a puzzling and unpredictable disease that varies widely in its impact, not only from person to person, but also in the same individual at different times. Twice as many women as men have multiple sclerosis. Most are diagnosed in the prime of their lives.
Members, can you please give Senator Price your attention?
Between the ages of 20 and 50. The National Multiple Sclerosis Foundation, founded in 1946, funds research, offers services for people with the disease, and provides professional educational programs. Through its home office in New York and its 50-state network of chapters, including 3 chapters in California, the Society serves more than 1 million people annually. ACR 18, sponsored by the California chapters of the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, will help to enhance knowledge throughout the state about the important issues impacting people living with MS and give a voice to all of those affected by the disease. Walk MSS is the rallying point of the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, a time and place for people to stand together to help raise critical funds and support cutting-edge research, drive change through advocacy, facilitate professional education, and provide programs and services to help people with MS move forward with their lives. The walk this year will occur in Sacramento on Sunday, May the 1st, and I invite everyone in this chamber to join the movement here in Sacramento or in your own district to help raise money and create a world free of multiple sclerosis. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Price. Members, any discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Blakesley. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Cannella. Aye. Corbett.
Aye.
Aye. Correa. Aye. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Aye. Evans. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. LaMalfa. Aye. Leno. Aye. Ted Lieu. Aye. Carol Lieu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio. Aye. Runner. Aye. Semidian. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Vargas. Aye. Walters. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Yee. Yee, aye. Madam.
The resolution is adopted. Ayes 34, no 0. Senator Leno, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Madam President. For purposes of commemoration.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Colleagues, I ask that you join me to just take a moment to commemorate and remember the lives lost, the 146 lives lost 100 years ago today in the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire in Greenwich Village, New York on March 25th, 1911 at around 4:40 p.m. that Saturday afternoon, as 500 workers were about to conclude their work week at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory. A fire broke out. The factory was on the 7th, 8th, and 9th floors of what was then considered a modern fireproof skyscraper of 10 floors. Fire broke out. The fire escape was locked. The doors were locked. People panicked. They rushed to the elevators, which failed in the heat of the fire, rushed to the fire escape, which also failed in the heat of the fire, and 129 girls and young women and 17 men fell to their death in this tragic fire. And there was an eyewitness account that I'd like to share with you just to give you a sense of the tragedy. This is written by a gentleman who became later a New York State assemblyman. He was at a neighboring Astor library reading a book when he heard the fire engines go by, and he wrote the following. Word had spread through the East Side by some magic of terror that the plant of the Triangle Waste Company was on fire and that several hundred workers were trapped. Horrified and helpless, the crowds, I among them, looked up at the burning building, saw girl after girl appear at the reddened windows, pause for a terrified moment, and then leap to the pavement below to land as mangled, bloody pulp. This went on for what seemed a ghastly eternity. Occasionally, a girl who hesitated too long was licked by pursuing fires, and screaming, with clothing and hair ablaze, plunged like a living torch to the street. Life nets held by firemen were torn by the impact of the falling bodies. The emotions of the crowd were indescribable. Women were hysterical. Scores fainted. Men wept as in paroxysms of frenzy they hurled themselves against the police lines. The owners of the factory, Max Blank and Isaac Harris, were subsequently tried for first and second degree manslaughter. They were amazingly acquitted, though they were fined in a civil case and paid $75 for each death. Curiously, their insurance company paid them $400 for each death. They pocketed over $50,000 as a result of that transaction. Why this is a historic day, and it's important for us to remember it, is that as a result of this tragedy, New York legislature formed a factory investigating commission. The commission issued a report, and within years, the New York State legislature created some of the most progressive and protective labor laws in the country. A woman named Frances Perkins, you may remember her name from the FDR administration. She was the first woman appointed to a cabinet, became FDR's labor secretary. She was served on that state commission, and she referenced many of the findings from that commission and the laws that New York put into place after the findings to be the foundation for the New Deal. Child protection laws, work hours, minimum wage, even Social Security came as a result of the tragedy of that fire. So as the nation has its conversation about the importance of unions and collective bargaining, it's important for us to remember how all of this came to be and the many lives, some of these girls as young as 14 because there were no child labor laws at the time. And again, 129 young girls and women died as a result of this fire. We do business differently since then as a result of it. We remember them today.
Thank you, Senator Leno. Senator Ted Lieu.
Thank you. I rise in support of Senator Leno's comments. I remember reading about this tragedy in high school, thinking, how could something like this happen? And it happened because the employees had no rights and because there was very little regulation. And as we go through these difficult times, it's important to understand what happens when you have a free market and you don't regulate it, because it will result in these tragedies. A free market left unchecked will result in sweatshops. A free market left unchecked will result in harm to workers. And as we go through these times and look at regulations that we would like to eliminate, we have to remember the consequences when you eliminate a regulation that is necessary. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Lieu. Senator Steinberg, do you have... Senator Price.
Adjourn in motion.
Thank you very much, Senator Price. Under motions and resolutions, adjourn in memory.
Thank you. I rise in honor and honor the life and the accomplishments of Elizabeth Taylor, actress, businesswoman, philanthropist, humanitarian, and activist. Born on February 27, 1932, in England to American parents, she would go on to star in some of Hollywood's most memorable roles. From an early age, Taylor was stunning with violent eyes and a radiant smile, but her beauty didn't impress the bosses at Universal, who released her from her first film contract only after one film. Taylor was quickly picked up by MGM and starred in roles for the studio such as National Velvet, Father of the Bride, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Cleopatra, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, for which she won her second Academy Award. Taylor was passionate about jewelry, owning several notable pieces, as well as having her own jewelry line and perfumes. Later in life, Elizabeth Taylor became a tireless advocate for people and families affected by the AIDS virus. She raised more than $100 million for the cause and founded the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation. On May 16, 2000, Taylor was named Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire by Queen Elizabeth II. Elizabeth Taylor suffered numerous health problems throughout her life, but she never let her health dampen her spirit. She passed away March 23rd at 79 from congestive heart failure and was laid to rest yesterday. Please join me in remembering Dame Elizabeth Taylor.
Thank you very much, Senator Price. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends, and our condolences in the loss of this amazing woman. Thank you very much. Pardon me, Senator Wright.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I rise for a adjourning motion for a young man who I witnessed being born, have been friends with his family for the better part of 45 years. His name probably won't appear in a newspaper anywhere because Lawrence Tolliver III was kind of a regular guy. He wasn't Elizabeth Taylor. He wasn't somebody real famous. He was born in South Los Angeles. He was 39 years old. He joined the Navy, served his country. He moved to Texas, where he got married. He developed brain cancer shortly after he joined the Houston Police Department. He fought a long battle with brain cancer, and he finally succumbed to it yesterday morning at 4 o'clock Texas time. We're going to bury Lawrence in Los Angeles next week. But you think of young people who you witness their birth, their growth, and their development. And when I spoke to his father yesterday, he said, well, Lawrence lived a life of 39 years. He joined the Navy, he was married, he enjoyed a full life, albeit cut short. So I mentioned Lawrence Tolliver's name today. Many of you don't know him and may not know the family, but it is kind of painful, but at the same time, I'm pleased that he's no longer suffering with the cancer that was tormenting his body for the last year and a half. So I adjourn in memory of Lawrence Tolliver III.
Thank you very much, Senator Wright. Can you please bring the name forward and please share condolences with his family? Thank you. Senator Steinberg. For what purpose do you
Thank you, Madam President. For purpose of two items, one item 14, which is a minor but important change to our rules. Do we
Thank you, Senator. It's
yes,
item 14. Will the Secretary please read?
Senate Resolution 14 by Senator Steinberg relative to the standing rules of the Senate for the 2011-12 regular session.
Thank you very much. Working with Senator Dutton and Harmon, the Rules Committee passed a resolution which basically tightens up the approval of and retention of select committees in this House. Select committees are an important way for members to take the leadership without the pressure of bills on subject matters, and a lot of good work often comes out. We just want to make sure that the full House knows the work product and the results of the Select Committee over the course of a session and have some criteria for approving them in the future. We worked this out with the other side of the aisle, and I'd urge an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Steinberg. Senator Harmon.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I rise in strong support of this modest change to the rules of the House. It will help in how our select committees are appointed and managed, and set criteria for them to follow, which perhaps has not been happening in the past. I want to particularly thank the Pro Tem and the Secretary of the Senate, Greg Schmidt, for working with us to make this very important revision to the rules. Urge an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Harmon. Senator Steinberg, would you like to close? All right, members, is there any objection to using the unanimous roll call for this adoption? Seeing none. Ayes 34, no zeros. The resolution is adopted. Senator Steinberg, do you have another item?
This is item 13, which need unanimous consent to take up without regard to file. These are minor technical changes to the House rules.
Without reference to file, without objection, Secretary, please read.
Senate Resolution 13 by Senator Steinberg relative to the standing rules of the Senate for the 2011-12 regular session.
My previous compelling argument about the reason to adopt these rules will be my statement on the matter. Thank you.
Senator LaMalfa?
Madam President, we weren't made aware of this item being up at this time. May we pause to review, put it over? Okay.
We'll happily put the matter over. We thought we'd inform the other party, but we'll put it over.
Thank you very much. We'll put that matter over momentarily. All right. Members, consent calendar. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 322, Senate Bill 487, Senate Bill 107, and Senate Bill 279.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Blakesley. Calderon. Aye. Canella. Aye. Corbett.
Aye.
Aye. Correa. Aye. De Leon. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Aye. Evans. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Aye. Hancock. Harmon. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. LaMalfa. Aye. Leno. Aye. Ted Lieu. Aye. Carolou. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio. Aye. Runner. Aye. Semidian. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Vargas. Aye. Walters. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Yee. Yee, aye.
Secretary, please call the absentees on the consent calendar.
Blakesley. Aye. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. Hancock. Aye. Kehoe. Padilla. Semidian. Walters. Wyland.
Thank you very much. The vote is ayes 34, no 0. The measure is adopted. Consent calendar is adopted. Senator Steinberg, if there's no other business, the desk is clear.
Thank you, Madam President. The Senate will be on call daily. Now, we get a little tired of hearing that, but that's where we're at. The Senate will be on call, and it is possible that that call will actually be invoked sometime throughout the course of this 3-day weekend. So, members, if you can be within at least several hours of the Capitol, we will keep you informed of any developments. All right? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Steinberg. As the Pro Tem has said, we will be upon the call of the President Pro Tem throughout the weekend. Tuesday, session will convene at 2 p.m. The Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. Thank you very much, members. Senate stands in recess.